Question comes from Jane Monick, and this time we begin with Rennie.
$10 million and $6 million have been left over at different times for the Antelope Valley project. Councilman Jonathan Camp says it's time for the city's audit committee to dig a little deeper. What are your views?
Rennie, yep.
There was $10 million for that thing, I stick with that.
Yeah.
Well, I said that before and I repeat it again, it is very convenient, so I just happened to find it out. If you don't mind, I would like to borrow a little deeper. One of the things is, are you trying to tell me this money was sitting out there for a long time? Where was the project done?
And it works out, we move right over to Chris.
Let's clarify some things with regard to the Antelope Valley project. You know, up until the West Haymarket project, that was the biggest project we ever did in the city of Lincoln. And you know, back when it was being done, audits were suggested and audits were done by the federal government, by the state government, with additional oversight from city people. No wrongdoing was ever shown with regard to any transactions relating to the Antelope Valley project, even though there were all kinds of articles in the paper about, well, where money going here, money going there, that sort of thing. The money has always been closely audited and properly accounted for. And at a certain point in time, it's the job of the Antelope Valley Authority, which is the University of Nebraska, the NRD, and the city, when they think the project is closing and they don't need any more of the money, to make the decision to give back whatever money is left. That decision happened to be on their agenda this month. And so the city made a quick decision to reinvest that money pursuant to public outcry in the roads, and in immediately, as soon as possible, getting that money put back into roads. The money came from roads when it was being used for Antelope Valley, so it was right and legal that it should be reinvested in roads, and that's what we did.
Andy?
It is troublesome to find $10 million after a project has been shut down a while ago. In the newspaper in July of last year, he found $275,000, and the headlines have said, I'll put it towards a fire station. Let's talk a little bit about what I did as a county treasurer. I saved $1 million in less than 4 years, upgraded everything. We went from 45 employees down to 39. It's called efficiency. So when Chris says there's no room for anything, I wouldn't spend $800,000 on an alley or $3 million on a bike path. You're going to reprioritize. What I did with the county treasurer's office, I found every dime, every penny, where it comes from, where it goes, and where it's invested. It's all on our website. It's called transparency. When you look at the comprehensive annual report for the city of Lincoln, try to figure this out. It will be, once I'm in office, pretty easy to find all the money, bounce the checkbook, and report to everybody on a website where your money is. We won't be finding $10 million a couple of years later.
30-second rebuttals, and we start with Rennie.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, the $10 million, is that going to be part of just the city budget, or is that over and above now?
It has become available to us at a time when the city budget is
So
not
that's not part of the budget, that's
No.
that little extra?
Right.
That's me, thank you. I'm done.
All right, Chris.
Yeah, you know, the Antelope Valley project is an example of great management by the city. And the city employees have been terrific. And they have responded to leadership and to management in a great way. You know, when we first came into office, one of the big problems that we heard about from a lot of people just like you was development services. The city wasn't doing well with development services. It wasn't customer friendly. We changed all that. And the city employees were primarily responsible for grabbing a hold of their own culture and changing it in the right direction.
Andy?
No rebuttal.
Pardon?
No.
Okay. We're ready to move on now. We're back to Charlie, and this time the question first goes to Chris.
We talked about the $20 million half of the sales tax question on the ballot. Pardon my math, but I'd like to talk about the other half, the $15 million half. The fire stations and moving some of them around. When will another such rearrangement be needed? Or how long will this rearrangement be good for until we have to do that again?
Well, Charlie's talking about the relocation of the fire stations and the relocation of the police station, none of which, of course, by the way, gets done if the bond, if the issue does not, if the ballot issue does not get passed. And so it's very important, contrary to Mr. Stebbings' position, that this matter pass. LEVA, by the way, has endorsed this. The Chamber of Commerce has endorsed this. The City Council has endorsed this. The Citizen Committee examining it has endorsed this. And I regret that it's become a campaign issue because of Mr. Stebbings' position. But what is important here is that we are moving fire stations to be closer to people in certain areas of the town who are outside the standard distance from fire stations, and of course, by virtue of that, outside, further away from emergency services. So when you're talking about not doing the ballot issue, you're talking about delaying further access, the right kind of access to emergency services by 6,000 people in this city who should have the equal benefit of quick response time from emergency vehicles. Plus, we're moving a police station into a quadrant of the city, and the objective is to have police stations in all quadrants so that they're closer to their place of work.
Andy?
I don't know why I'm being blamed to make this a political issue. He's the one that asked to be on the ballot. Look, in July of 2012, Chris said in the newspaper, I need $18 total million. I want to move 2 fire departments and upgrade them, and I need $8 million for a radio system. So since the summer of 2012, now we're up to $35 million and a whole different plan. What he's not doing is thinking outside the box. I had an investor call me and said, let me pay cash for 27th and Old Cheney, the northeast corner. Let's look at that. Let's look at Peggy Green's lot on North 48th Street. If the city owns it, it's not for sale, it sits there. It's probably worth $300,000. You can raise this money, you can work with the fire department. The fire department's beat up. They don't have an emergency rescue squad for underwater rescues anymore. They just bought a fire truck from the city of Hickman from 20 years, it's 20 years old. So I'm with the fire department, I'm one of those types of guys. It's just, you don't need to raise taxes to do it. You're putting the cart before the horse when you don't even have the manpower to put into fire departments.
Rennie?
I might feel a little bit different about the fire station and fire departments, including the police. Is here you are again, you're going to take the one building with over 5 blocks. So you're going to move everyone to 5 blocks so they serve a certain area, certain. Would it be just almost cheaper just put one station in between it, so you got a little triangle? Okay.
All right.
It's,
You good?
yeah, I'm done.
All right. Let's 30-second rebuttals, and Chris, we start with you on those.
Yeah, Mr. Stebbing came out with a whole bunch of ideas there that can be answered in 15 seconds. But let me just say, he ought to think again about the safety of these people for whose benefit we are moving these fire stations further south and further east so that everybody has more equitable access to emergency services. And that's important to these families.
Andy, 30 seconds.
It takes creativity, it takes building relationships, including with the fire department. It takes building relationships with the community. It can be done without a tax increase. If I'm wrong, I'll be in front of the city of Lincoln a few years from now saying, I have a good idea, here's where we're at. But look, it's just, he just doesn't have the energy to pour into it like he once had. And I applaud him on all the things he's done. Absolutely, he deserves a round of applause. He just took his eye off the ball on public safety.
Rennie, 30 seconds if you want. All right. Jane, you have the next question, and we begin with Andy.
Lincoln residents see several fire department vehicles responding to just emergencies, medical emergencies. And there's been a proposal out there for some smaller trucks to go to some of those types of emergencies. What are your views on that? Do you think that could save some money for the city and for the fire department?
It may. I think City Councilman John Camp and I differ on a number of things. I think for Lincoln to be absolutely safe, and your houses and your kids to be safe, you want a full-blown fire department that's well-staffed with good equipment. I disagree with John in the idea of trying to pick up trucks. When a fire rig arrives at a house and there's a boy locked in the bathroom, you don't need a $250,000 fire rig. That's training dispatchers to send a Lincoln police officer if they're available.
Rennie?
About these smaller trucks, personally, I do believe it's a somewhat good idea. And one of the things, I grew up in a small town, they had small trucks. They got a volunteer department. You don't even get paid. And they got just as good a response as the firemen as in Lincoln. Right here, if you go to previous questions, you just find out if you got this fire station spread apart, right in between it, you put the one smaller one. So that way you've got a communication from both sides. Done.
Chris?
Yeah, I think this goes back to just generally the way you are as a manager. And I think that you look at every department critically. I think you are in close touch with all your managers, and you are encouraging all of your managers to look at processes, to look at ideas, to look at equipment, to look at any and all of those things, all of those changes that might make things less expensive and better for the citizens of the city. And in that regard, we are experimenting now with the kinds of vehicles at Senator Camp's suggestion, in part. And the jury is still out on what they're finding with the use of those vehicles. But I think as a general proposition, it's very important to watch for change that can be helpful to running the department in a more efficient, less expensive, more beneficial way for the public.
30 seconds, Andy?
If you send the pickup truck out with 3 or 4 guys on it, then there's nobody back at the station for the big hot call. My son chases 15. If he's involved when he's 16, not long from now, if he's involved in a crash at 70th and A in an upside down vehicle, I want a couple big fire rigs showing up. I want some good, qualified, educated firemen. I want their fire hoses out, ready to go if there's a fire. And I want him cut out of the car. And you can't do that with pickup trucks. I think the idea was a good one. I don't think it's ready for Lincoln, Nebraska.
And Rennie, 30 seconds.
I do believe Lincoln firemen are extremely good people and highly qualified, believe it or not. I know quite a few of them. I know how they operate. I know how they live, they own everything else. And no, they don't bring a pickup in 200 gallons, but that's okay. I'm done.
All right, Chris, 30 seconds.
Yeah, I just wanted to circle back with you a second, Andy. You had indicated that twice now that I was too tired to look at things. Let me tell you, young man, I'll outwork you any day of the week.
I'm sure you will. You're a politician for 25 years.
All right, next question